I'm going to make a video here on the Norinco CQ, and the rifle I'm going to be using is the Dominion Arms DA556 full-size rifle. It is actually a Norinco CQ 311, but I'll also be talking about the Norinco CQA, and I'm going to go over some of the parts. My gun, I've already made specific modifications to it, which is just to the furniture, because this gun, as it leaves the factory, is pretty much just a direct copy of the American M16a1. And to replace, all you have to do is replace the furniture. All of the screws and the threads are the standard pattern that we use now. The older CQ 311 used a metric pattern that was specific to that gun. So the very early ones from the 90s, possibly late 80s, those guns will not just directly use the same screws and parts. The only thing that's been modified on this rifle that's been changed from the original one is to put the triangular M16 handguards on it. This cap had to be changed to a triangular style. It normally comes with a round style like this, and the furniture looks different, but it will take the M16A2 style of handguards, and the M16A2 style handguards will also fit the triangle style. And in order to put this on, you have to punch these pins out of the front sight, and I actually had to take it to a gunsmith to do, because from the factory, from the Norinco factory, they had pushed these pins in so tight, even the gunsmith, he had to drill these out, and he made some new dowels to put in there to put it back on, but they weren't able to get these pins out without drilling them. Normally you can just punch them out with a hammer, but not on this particular gun because it's very well built. But you can see the features of the M16A1. It still has the full the slots going around the muzzle brake on it. It's got the pencil style barrel, the original early style sight that could take the bayonet. The handguards, I don't have the original handguards. They're kind of cheap, but they are workable. And this gun was made for Dominion Arms by Norinco, so the finish on it is generally a little nicer than the Chinese manufactured guns that just come out with the Norinco name on them, but it's exactly the same as the Norinco CQ 311. And this one comes with 9-inch rifling, but they are available with the 1 in 12 rifling also, but you can order them either way from Norinco. The buttstock is just a direct replacement. I actually like the Norinco buttstock better. It has an offhand shooting notch on it, but I ended up selling it, so this is what I have on it now, and it goes on just as a direct replacement. And it has the M16 style flip sight. It doesn't have the dial of the A2 or the newer guns. And also this gun uses a teardrop style of forward assist on it. It comes like that, and it just uses your standard magazine release. When you get the gun, it comes with a sling, and it will come with 2 magazines. It's usually 2 of these 30 magazines, but sometimes it'll come with a 5-round magazine also. And it comes with a really nice cleaning kit, which is these rods, adjustable rods. So this is just how I've built my gun, with just minimal modifications to the gun. And when it comes to the Norinco CQA, like this gun being a copy of the M16A1, the CQA is an exact copy of the American M4 carbine, and they also come with a shorter 10-inch barrel also, but it's very much the same other than it has the short 10-inch barrel. The only difference that I've seen is the Norinco gun is slightly upgraded from the American gun because it has an ambidextrous mag release, and also has ambidextrous safeties. The safeties are on both sides, which the American guns don't have. And one other difference is the buttstock tube. This is on the Norinco gun, it's a commercial style tube, so you have to get commercial style stocks. It's not what they call a mil spec style. So that is about the only difference from the original M4 carbine. And the barrels on all of them, almost all Norinco guns share, is they are fully chrome lined, and the M4, you can see it's proper M4 profile, identical to the original M4. I just don't have one to show, but now I'll show some of the specific parts. To start off with the parts, I'm going to go over the bolt carrier groups. And the bolt carrier groups I have are the original Norinco bolt carrier group, and this carrier group is actually from Brownells. It's made by Brownells, and this is what they call a full auto bolt carrier group. It's just the name and style of it. So first off, when you look at the difference in the carriers, other than the finish is rough on the Chinese gun, which really doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of difference really. Like you could see the way that the forward assist notches are cut, and on the Chinese gun they're it's been sanded away or filed away here, and the notches kind of disappear. It doesn't really make any difference to the gun at all. But the difference is back here you can see they've cut away material right here on the Norinco gun so that it's not able to trip to fully automatic. And also one thing is that the carriers in that are numbered on the Norinco guns, just like military guns would be, but they have this cut in them. The Norinco gun also has the proper staking, and they're really well staked on the gas key. You can see that on better carriers. Some cheaper carriers won't have that, but it is on the Norinco gun, and it's very well done. Another nice thing, well, it has the full ramp here on the bottom. Some of these will, on the semi-automatic guns, will have this part cut away on them, but the Norinco gun is true like the original. And another thing that's nice and sometimes better than even original parts is the carrier is chrome lined inside. It's kind of hard to get a picture in there, but the carriers are fully chrome lined inside. The Norinco part is, or the Brownells part, even though it's a very good carrier, it's not chrome in here. It's just got the nitriding on it. It's a nice carrier, it works, but this is how it should be done. It should have the chrome in there. So that's just the carriers. They're, other than this cut missing, that's about the only difference. I would say the Norinco carrier is actually better, considering it has the chrome lining in it, which is nice. Another thing to note is how they've removed the material very crudely, and it just looks nicer on the American production, like I would expect it to look nicer on there, but it works perfectly fine. The next area we could look at is the firing pins, and they're virtually identical. The bolts is one area on the Norinco. The bolts usually come from the factory, the American bolts, American made ones. They'll be MP tested, and they will have upgraded extractor springs and bushings in them. And the Norinco, it doesn't say anything about MP testing or anything like that, but I've never seen one of these Norinco bolts fail. I've had lots of experience with these guns, and these bolts they're just as good. It doesn't matter what it says on there. These Norinco bolts are they're excellent. They're as good as anything. The only thing is, on the Norinco CQA, the M4 carbine copy, they don't put the upgraded extractor spring and grommets in there, which is one of the reasons why that gun, the shorter barrel ones, have failures. And all you have to do is get a package of these and put it in there. Sometimes it'll be a D-ring or an O-ring, and you put it inside the extractor spring here, and after that it cures the issues altogether. So that's one thing. On a full-size rifle, this is fine, but it is something I would upgrade on an M4, and it's just a basic upgrade. One of the other things to mention is in the buffers, in the stock buffers, the Norinco gun is properly made. It's this one on the bottom with this black coating. They all have the black coating. That's how you know it's a Norinco one. The CQA has a black coating like this, and the CQ311, the same thing. And they're properly made. You can adjust the weights inside if you want. They have the pin to remove the little bumper on the bottom. Some of the really cheaper ones, the improperly made ones, they won't have that. They won't have this pin, and so when this gets worn out, the bumper gets broken or rots out. This can't really be replaced easily. The proper way of doing it is with one of these pins, and the Norinco guns come like that from the factory. The buffer's a little bit light, but I've never had any problems with them, and that's just one extra little part. When it comes to the triggers, it's very much a semi-automatic trigger. I'm not 100% if these are the Norinco ones, but they're the same pattern that they use, where the back of the trigger is a little box. It's been closed off here so that there's no way you can make it into a full auto rifle. This is very much a semi-automatic trigger. The other thing is the hammer. It also doesn't have the full auto tail, and it has the extra little safety notch on here. It doesn't, I've had different styles of hammers, and it doesn't seem to make any bit of difference. And there's some wear on it, but they seem to be perfectly usable parts. Sometimes you get them and they feel really good. Sometimes they feel really bad, the trigger pulls on them, but they are what they are. They do their job and they work, and I've never had a malfunction with these trigger components. The biggest drawback to these Norinco guns is because they're based on the M16a1, even the Norinco CQA, they use an M16a1 early style follower. It is cast metal, just like the original parts from the Vietnam War and all that. And this is their biggest fault in the gun. This is what the follower looks like from a Norinco. It's just a very basic cast piece. You can see it's the same as the Vietnam era magazine. The newer magazines all use this, what they call an anti-tilt follower. This is the proper one to use. Sometimes the Chinese gun, the magazines will give you troubles in the gun, and it's usually that's the problem. You can upgrade the magazine with just the follower. If you can get just the follower, you can put it in this magazine, or you can just buy extra magazines. But that's one fault of the gun, and this is in both the CQA and the Norinco CQ 311. After going through all of the parts and seeing some of the modifications to the gun, you can see that it's a very, very close copy to the M16A1. Also, the CQA is a very close copy to the American M4 carbine as it was. And these guns are excellent. They're extremely reliable just right out of the box. There is little upgrades you can do to them, which I highly recommend upgrading the magazines when you get these. But the guns seem to have all of the best factory. They have the fully chrome lined barrel and chamber, chrome lined bolt in the bolt carrier, and all of the parts are quality made. They don't seem to break. The older guns from the 1990s to about 2005 are sort of hit and miss. The quality on them is a lot less. Some of them look like they have painted finishes, bad tool marks all over them. They do work, but they just didn't look as nice. This particular rifle was imported specifically for Dominion Arms in Canada, and that's why it has such a nice finish, because these can be made to order. They can also be made to order for militaries in fully automatic versions, and there's really not much difference between the fully automatic and semi-automatic versions, but the semi-automatic versions obviously can't be converted to full auto. So they're an excellent rifle. They're excellent rifles to build on. The metal parts are all good, so I highly recommend this rifle if it's available in a place where you're able to own something like this. I prefer the full-size rifle, but the carbine is also an excellent option. So other than that, if you've got any questions, just put it in the comments. So thank you for watching. I should also mention that these guns will take pretty much any upgrades, at least that I found. I've put a different trigger in mine, which doesn't have the little safety notch in it, and the buffer I thought was a Spikes Tactical. I'm not really sure if that's what I have in here or not, but these guns will take upgrades if you want to change the grips, like I did with mine, back to the original A1, but they will take modern accessories also.